For some reason, I choose not to scry in my upkeep, probably because, as usual, I forgot. Um, Obviously, scrying in my upkeep is the right play because, you know, maybe I draw into Yavimaya Worm or Harbor Serpent, but I can just, choose not to draw into one of those. I mean, that's the only thing that I would not be allowed. I would not be able to cast this turn. Um, Especially, I mean, I already have Ice Cage and 4C in my hand. If I'm not like really hurting for things to cast this turn. Um, so I guess drawing the forest is fine, but I should have obviously should have scried there in my upkeep. I guess I was probably sort of obsessed with, tapping my crystal ball to scry at end of turn. So, of course, swinging with the Juggernaut first, hoping for some reason that he would block, which is obviously terrible for him because he has a real win condition and I just have Juggernaut. So post combat, I foresee. I should have not pressed forward there. I think that was a land, but I don't know. Probably bottom to land. Oh no, yeah, it was a land. I think. And I see Garrick's Companion, Cloud Elemental, and Island. So Garrick's Companion and Island are pretty useless at this point, so they go on the bottom. And I leave Cloud Elemental on top, simply so that I can have some flyer to force him to use his mana. Then I play Ice Cage on his Air Servant, hoping that that'll be good enough. Then Cloud Elemental will actually, be good in the air. I also draw Air Servant, which is just fantastic here. Unfortunately, he's got the Giant Growth, so that knocks my Ice Cage off, and he gets in for 9. I'm now really hurting for answers, so I scry at end of turn. After he casts an Augur Real, which is mostly irrelevant. So I scry into Ether Adept and Island. Now, when I watched this replay, I assumed that I put Ether Adept on top and put the Island on the bottom, but it's actually the other way around. I put the Island on top and the Ether Adept on the bottom. I realize the reason I did this now is because I wanted to play Air Servant next turn and tap down one of his guys, which is fine. It's if I had more mana here, this next turn I could actually go Ether Adept into Air Servant, which is probably even a much better play because that lets me control his Air Servant. That sort of makes him spend a turn recasting Air Servant, and then I have Air Servant on the board, which is good. But with the choices I have here, I think that's probably a fine decision to bottom Ether Adept and keep Island on top, simply so that I can play the Air Servant and tap next turn. So draw Island, swing in with Juggernaut and Sylvan Ranger, hoping that he'll block with Augur Real, but he does not, as he realizes that he probably wins in the air next turn if I don't have anything. So, post-combat, I do what I said, and play Air Servant. He untaps, plays a land, sleeps my team, which is not great for me, but it doesn't really change my play too much. It just means that I can't, block and kill one of his guys this turn. If he chooses to attack even after I tap his Air Servant, means I'm taking 3 here. So I take my 3 after he swings in, and I untap. I scry in my upkeep because I'm really hurting for answers now. And I scry into Giant Spider, which is great here. Because I have enough mana to be able to play Giant Spider and tap with Air Elemental or Air Servant. So Island on bottom, Giant Spider on top, play Giant Spider, pass turn. He has Doomblade for my Air Servant, so this is the last turn that I can hold down the Air Servant at all. So I obviously tap his Assassinate rather. So I tap his Air Servant in response, um, hoping that hoping that he doesn't have much more to do to me. But I mean, really, there's nothing I can do at this point. I've sort of, committed to this line of play several turns ago, and I'm going to lose now. Especially as he has a second Cloud Elemental, meaning that, I'm dead next turn. He swings in with both Augriel and Cloud Elemental, simply to, weaken me even further. I, think about this for a little bit. I block the Augriel, but again, I just have Cloud Elemental in hand. So unless I rip like Doomblade to take care of Air Servant, then I'm not winning this game, because he just gets through for enough next turn. I scry in my upkeep, digging for answers, find none of them, bottom both those cards, draw Forest, and, swing in to knock him down to 3, and then lose to, his flying team. He taps my guy, no real reason not to, and I die. So, this game, I think I tried to put a clock on him too early when I could have easily spent more time ramping, simply so that I would have more. Once I had more, once I was under more pressure, I could do more. And I definitely should not have traded that giant growth for the gargoyle, or traded the giant growth for not killing my Juggernaut, as it would have been much more useful here at the end game, being able to have Giant Spider around, and maybe even Giant Growth my Giant Spider. But in any case, it's not. My Juggernaut wasn't worth saving there. I think at that point, I have other threats in my deck. I should have just let that one go, I think.